And that's enough of that. Good morning.
Good morning. So
we're back.
Yeah.
Had a bit of a hiccup yesterday.
Well, there was a couple of hiccups yesterday, but we have unhiccuped.
Y'all, I was in Tequila Monday evening. For those of you in our area, you're familiar. I was in Tequila, which is about an hour outside of my stomping grounds, helping somebody move a couple of couches when my alternator died on a bridge, and that was the beginning of a long and uncomfortable adventure that ended around, well, it was after 1 o'clock in the morning, and, well, I just wasn't up when y'all expected me to be doing a show.
Yeah. So, anyhow, but it's Wednesday, and yeah, so let's get into it.
Oh, Steve, I didn't bother you because it was late, and I actually had Shay with me, so I figured he could handle the problem enough that I didn't have to wake you up. We got it done. We actually went to Walmart, just bought a new battery and threw it in there and just murdered that thing to get it home. So, this morning, hashtag Biden is a failure is trending on Twitter. Okay, Twitter is a dumpster fire. Absolute trash heap. And as I've said many times before, I largely use Twitter to examine the mindscape of the opposition. But there are a few golden, shining celebrities that I just love on Twitter. Among them, speaking of shining nuggets, is Cat Turd, who just started it off with, "Good morning, everybody." By the way, hashtag Biden is a failure. Thank you, Cat Turd. My man. So, it looks like, somebody added something. We're 8 months into this pandemic and Donald Trump still doesn't have a plan to get this virus under control. I do.
Boy, talk about tweets that age well.
This wasn't here when we started the show. And boy, it's... Exactly. This doesn't age well. To get this virus under control, I do. More people have died of corona under Biden's presidency than did under Trump's.
Yes.
Factory. Sticky fuckers.
Yeah. Well, they've died of coronavirus. Right? And the Omnicorp variant, the Omicron variant, Look, I know it's pronounced Omicron, okay? But just like everybody else on the internet that does what we do, like all the jokes are just they're too good. They're just too good. What? Okay.
I'm just going to run this little 30 seconds. Get you some.
Omicron. Omicron. Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron. Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron. Omicron. Omicron. Omicron. Omicron. Omicron. Omicron. Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron. Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron. Omicron. Omicron.
Omicron.
Omicron. Omicron.
Omicron. Omicron.
Omicron.
You're welcome.
Okay, then.
And I'm going to go ahead and drop that one. I'm going to go ahead and just drop that one for you guys in the comment section there. This kid's got a little over 600 subscribers. Let's give him a little bump. I'll throw him a like and a sub, and y'all go hook him up. So the Omicron. We don't talk about the coof on this show because we've been thrown off a few times. But Unless Cheney did J6, pass it on. It's, you know, Sean, we were almost going to talk about that this morning, and that's probably going to be our topic tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Yeah. We should definitely talk about that tomorrow morning. But, let's, why don't we jump straight into the articles? We can actually do a show.
We had, okay. So, Biden's economic ratings worse than Jimmy Carter's. Okay, that's a mouthful. Going into the 80s off of Carter's economic work, what were APRs? What the interest rate was up near 20%. Some outrageous madness.
Yeah.
You'll hear millennials bitch about, oh well, you've made housing unaffordable, you made this unaffordable, and yada yada. Okay, it was so much easier when you boomers and zoomers were younger. It's like, oh, hold on a minute. Listen, millennial. You have access to free money, right? 2% interest rates. You have access to essentially free money, super cheap money. Your money is valuated like a McDonald's cheeseburger. When the people you're complaining about were buying their houses, that money was expensive. Intensely expensive. And that's math that, well, you're bitching, so you're Dems, because you can't math. Expensive money is a sticky wicket.
Well, there's actually even more parallels because there were problems with gasoline, not to the extent that we're having now, because we can still, generally speaking, go to the gas station and get gas. Though we have had it happen over the past few months where that wasn't necessarily so. Like when I was still living in Rockmart, there was about a 2-day stretch where literally none of the gas stations in my zip code had gas.
Yeah, that was this year.
Yeah, that was this year. Okay.
And that was almost immediately after the inauguration.
And let's see, there's the inflation thing. That's, when they say, oh, it's the highest inflation in 40 years. And I'm like, 40 years ago. Okay. All right. Right. I'm tracking. I remember what we were just coming off of.
Oh, that's right. 40 years ago was this guy.
Well, I don't actually remember what was going on 40 years ago. My memory only stretches back to about 36 years ago. However, in historical context,
right,
I remember what happened about 40 years ago. So, let's, there we go. That's 9% in the 80s. That was a cheaper rate. My parents in the 70s borrowed at well over 16%. That's, yeah.
Cypher Bay, let's go, Brandon.
Okay. All right. So, let's just jump straight into this and use that as a jumping off point.
Sean Stryker. Me too, brother. Me too.
Okay. A CNN poll found President Joe Biden's economic approval ratings are worse than former President Jimmy Carter's. Carter's economic net approval rating of -8 points in an early January 1978 CBS News New York Times poll was the lowest around this point in a presidency before Biden's -13 points, CNN reported. The economy, and particularly inflation, was listed as the nation's top problem in a late October 1977 Gallup poll. Usually, presidents have a +5 approval rating on the economy at this point in time during their first year in office, according to CNN. However, inflation in particular seems to be a big issue for Biden. Oh, dear.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Let me say this real quick about Biden and Carter. After Carter left office, he got involved in a lot of intense philanthropic work. And a lot of it is super lefty garbage. You've got the Carter Center in Atlanta, and it's a bunch of leftist trash. But Jimmy Carter, after his presidency, turned out to be mostly a stand-up guy. And a tough sumbitch. Was it 2 years ago? He was in and out of the hospital with a serious, I think, cancer diagnosis, and was almost immediately back to work building houses with Habitat for Humanity. So for the last 40 years since Carter left office, he's done good stuff. He's been, pillar of the community. Maybe still a bit of the opposition, being a left-wing guy. He has come out against a lot of the woke stuff in various iterations from time to time. But I'm gonna make this prediction now. Joe's not gonna do that.
No, he's gonna get his butt wiped.
And largely because I'll be surprised if Joe makes it to the next election.
Right, because then he's going to get his butt wiped out. There's other things. Carter has spoken out against. Yeah, Carter has spoken out against certain amphibious priapism related issues as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Just saying. Okay. All right. So, however, I read that one already.
Now we've got a new Cypher Bay. We've got as a new viewer. I hope you'll share the show. We've had several new viewers recently. So, just for your edification, we use the euphemism of the amphibious priapism, and I highly recommend that you go back and watch any of our previous shows to get a little smarter on what we mean by erections and frogs.
Right.
When we're talking about when we mention the amphibious priapism.
Right.
If your erection lasts for more than 4 months, you should seek professional help.
Right. Just 20.
The investigatory variety.
Yes, just 28% of Americans approved of the job he is doing to handle inflation in a recent ABC News Ipsos poll. This comes as more voters said they were concerned about inflation than any other issue in a December Fox News poll, and only 22% said that Biden's administration efforts to get inflation and rising prices under control were helping. The plurality, 47%, said they were hurting. This development comes as more Americans are disapproving of Biden's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic than at any point in the first year of his presidency. According to the Daily Wire, the number of Americans who believe Joe Biden is doing a bad job in handling COVID-19 doubled from 23% in his first month of his presidency to 46% as of November. So, sum up this whole article.
Please, YouTube, flag us for that one, because we are just reading the article.
So, look, to sum everything up, in just a couple of sentences from this article, in a bunch of polls, there's a bunch of people that are saying Joe Biden is doing a bunch of bad. And at the very least, not doing a bunch of good. Okay? And I think this is one of those things where it goes back to, and I think it's really interesting that they point to a bunch of different media sources in this article, because a lot of those...
Sean Stryker disapproves of Biden handling anything, especially children. Sorry.
Okay. Nope. It's really interesting that they cite a bunch of different news organizations as sources for this, because it's these very same news sources that want to gaslight you and tell you that Biden's doing great. That there's this loud, racist, vocal minority. Guys like...
Most popular president ever!
Yes, most secure election ever. Most popular president ever. Most popular vice president ever.
And no laws were broken at all.
Yeah, not a bit. Not a bit. So, anyhow, people see what they see, and they're responding appropriately. Look, when you go to the store...
Let's not... Yeah, okay, so Brandon is I'm sorry, Cypher Bay is talking about a report on Brandon. Don Lemon just breathlessly like, look, the national average on gas has gone down from $3.59 to $3.49. Joe Biden did that.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Got it up to $3.59 in the first place.
He got it down to double what it was less than 6 months prior. He got it down to double. That's not what we mean by double down, dickhead.
Yeah, but when things
Take your Fermunda cheese and your breathy bullshit and go back to CNN, where you need to be fired for the same reason as everybody else is going.
Yeah, I'm going to be fired.
Fermunda cheese.
Nope, I'm tracking. I am tracking.
Sergeant Major says cornmeal is tree fitty, and that is too much for a pound of cornbread.
Well, I mean, but that's kind of the point. Like, people are seeing what they're seeing. When things like eggs, milk, and flour, kind of your staples, go up in price, that hurts us.
Yeah.
It is one of the most obvious indicators. Like, it used to be that you could go to the grocery store with like $20
And get groceries?
and get groceries, right?
Or at least dinner.
Right? Well, I mean, as long as you get ramen, like $20 will still.
I don't know, man. I'm rapidly approaching the point that I can't feed my horde on $20 worth of ramen.
Well, you don't get the Nissan Roll ramen. Just
but yeah, you start talking politics, and what somebody needs to understand before they get to the voting box. And for the average American, right, we read news and do political analysis. We do this every day. We do this intensely. Like, if I don't know your name, you're not running for governor, Candace Taylor. But,
Ouch.
I mean, we're balls deep in this news, in the politics of it, and in, looking at the details and the minutia around how the supply chain shortages are occurring and how they're developing, looking at things like how inflation works and discussing stuff like the difference between currency, money, and valuation. Your average American, there are two things that they see more clearly and more directly than any other metric that's going to make them a decision going into the voting booth. And that's gas prices and food prices. Those are the two things that they see most readily. It's the two things that they see every single day. When you pop up and you say, I'm going to deregulate businesses, I'm going to get government out of your way, and I'm going to work to create jobs, and the next thing you know, all the gas prices are around $1.50 a gallon, that's a solid metric. And people voted for it. Almost 80 million people voted for it. So when we come around to the midterm, and then again into 2024, when Joe has passed away, Kamala has taken the reins, and the Democrats are desperately trying to primary her ass out of office before they have to co-sign that bitch again, because they're panicking about that. They're already talking about trying to, if Joe makes it, they're already talking about trying to replace Kamala with booty juice for Biden's VP in his next run, which is hilarious. But every single day you see those metrics. Those are the two, and you can't ignore it. Gas prices are through the roof. $3.50 for a bag of cornmeal. I mean, come on, guys.
Well, and then there's a couple of other things, like the Democrats are making this super easy on us. Like our mayor of Atlanta, did you know? Well, not our mayor, because we don't live in Atlanta, but plus I am not a black girl, so I don't possess the magic according to the mayor of Atlanta. However, the mayor of Atlanta has reimposed by executive order indoor mask mandates.
What?
Yeah, true story.
Wait, when did that happen?
Like 24 hours ago? Ah, see, I love when I can.
You don't get one by me very often.
Yeah, so now you've got this visual symbol of the thing that crashed the economy, and you've got Democrat politicians in particular that want to remind you of the most visible symbol that there's something in the way. I don't know what it is, but there's something in the way. And I can't put my finger on it, but there's something in the way of your economic activity. It's almost like symbolically, there's a way where you can spot where your Democrat politicians are and where your Democrat believers are. So yeah, that have you found something?
Yeah, I've got the article about it.
We've had some other people
Mayor
join us.
Keisha Lance Bottoms is reinstating a citywide indoor mask mandate as COVID-19 cases surge, spurred on by the highly transmissible Omicron variant. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Under what authority?
The Black Girl Magic Authority.
So racism.
No. That's not.
That's how she got elected.
Well, I mean, that's how I'm making the
But
joke.
But no, you're right. This is not an authority that you possess.
Apparently, she thinks she does. I mean, philosophically speaking,
She thinks she does,
Look,
but the law is not on her side.
I mean, well, maybe not. You know, philosophically speaking, if you do a thing and the thing is accepted, do you not have the
yes.
authority to do the thing?
Yes, if people just randomly comply, so
It's sort of like, what's your service worth? Well, whatever the market will bear.
yeah.
I mean,
If the mayor comes out and says you will all walk around without no more pants. Actually, no, that's different. That's different. For her to come out and say nobody can wear pants is not the same as saying everyone must wear masks, because you're still talking about the difference between the law being prescriptive instead of being preventative. So here's a big piece of let's back up real quick to Obamacare. One of the problems with Obamacare constitutionally was that the government was attempting to prescribe an action, to say you must take this affirmative action or there will be consequences. Prior to that, there were very, very few exceptions, and none without significant prerequisites, where the government was able to say, you must X or suffer Y. The government is not allowed to give you orders. It doesn't have the authority to give you orders to take specific actions. That is not an authority that our governments or our elected officials have. So, like even the nobody wears pants analogy doesn't work, because that would still be a prohibitive measure, not a prescriptive one.
yeah, and then just, I think that's another one of the things that are waking people up to the, you can't ignore the gas, you can't ignore the fact that milk costs more money. You see the masks, you see government officials, and they all seem to be Democrats that are all about it. But the other thing is I think the general knowledge about, I'm going to say this very carefully, how potentially limited the usefulness of a mask is. That general knowledge has started to penetrate your Joe Blow public. Like, at this point in time, I don't mind admitting, as I do what I do, if I see you wearing a mask, I'm judging you. And I realize if you're wearing a mask and you see me not wearing a mask, you're probably judging me, and that's fine. I'm okay with the side that I picked, you know, because science, right? So, is there anything else, buddy? Have we... Oh, actually, there is one other thing, and it's something that I thought of this morning. I just wanted to point it out. Do you ever think Jimmy Carter would live long enough to see himself, like, not be the most disastrous economic president in living memory? Like, you think there's part of him that's like, oh, thank you, Jesus. I'm glad I could see this before I passed on to the next world, Lord. You know?
Oh, no. And congratulations, by the way, Jimmy, for holding on like you have. And real quick, Real quick, Sean says, I see mask wearers as weak. Am I wrong? I treat everybody I see in a mask as if they have a contagious disease. Because the data that we have from the CDC is that the point to wearing a mask is to prevent you from spreading disease to other people. It is not an effective way to protect yourself from getting a disease. Right? And so, if I see a person wearing a mask, I assume that they have a disease which they are very politely attempting to protect me from. I'm not sick, so I don't need to protect you from me. This isn't complicated.
Yeah, I'm a responsible adult. Like, if I'm sick, like if I have a fever, I'm just going to call my job and say, sorry, can't make it today.
Yep.
I have a fever. I'm going to stay home and drink lots of fluid and rest so that I can hurry up and not have a fever and hopefully be back to work tomorrow.
Well, that's just your white privilege. Because you have so much, because you're white and you're rich and you don't have to worry about going to work. You don't understand. You don't understand the struggle of poor brown people. They can't afford to miss days of work, Cameron.
See, I have these jokes that I want to make about that, but they're vaguely racist. And I don't want to go there at all. Like,
for context, I have at some point in my life lived in an extended stay hotel for a period. Okay? That's why it's funny to me when people, that's just your white privilege talking. You don't know what it's like to be poor. You don't know what it's like to have to go to work.
I know what it's like to be poor.
Yeah, I worked my ass off.
Oh yeah, one day we're actually going to have a show where Cameron talks about how well he knows the struggle of being poor.
Okay, this is a complete aside, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Just because I cracked that joke, I was in a college classroom one time, and we were talking about different entrepreneurial stuff, and I said, "There's a great book that you should all, you're all college kids without, I was in my mid-30s at the time, and I'm in this classroom with a bunch of, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids, and I said, you should all pick up a copy of this book, The $100 Startup. Read the book, take some advice from it. You don't have to start with just $100, and the teacher actually said, you need to check your privilege, Chris. You don't understand that some people can't just come up with $100. Bitch, I could take a 10 cup to downtown Atlanta and come up with $100 this afternoon. Are you stupid? Right, and but more to the point, I'm sitting in a classroom, I'm saying this, go get a copy of this book, go buy you a copy of this $10 book.
Well, it's $110.
So that you can learn how to turn $100 into your livelihood, to a room full of kids who just spent $500 on books, never mind what they put themselves in debt to get in the classroom to begin with.
They put themselves in the debt. And it's not $100 worth of privilege, it's $110 worth of privilege because you've got to buy the book for $10. Okay.
I bet they have it at the library.
Right. Anyhow, so tomorrow, the Revolver article, I'm looking forward to that one.
I almost want to save it to Friday, just for the pun.
Just because it's called Revolver?
Just for the fun.
No.
But Friday's the day before Christmas.
Right.
So
it's the last firearms.
I don't know what we're gonna do for Firearms Friday. I want to do something a little special. I don't know what it's gonna be. We're gonna have to chew on it. We got a couple days to come up with something a little special. Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and Merry Christmas. I'm popping back in just for a second. Cypher Bay, that last comment. Here's one more. 'Cause Merry Christmas, baby.